Okay, welcome back everybody. You've seen all 6 triggers now, all 5 action types, and how to write formulas inside a calculated value action to compute and write data automatically. If you've been following along and you've already built up an automation in your project, that word counts, and you're ready for certification, go ahead and paste your hyperlink to the comments below in the LMS. If you're starting fresh, work from the project you set up in the previous chapter. I'll be working from 5 model apply it. So go back to that if you want to start from there. We're building on that models project for this. Now, the point of this assignment is to demonstrate that you can wire up a trigger, pair it with a meaningful action, and design the automation to fire at the right time on the right data. We're also going to be chaining in a Revit parameter update toward the end. So if you have your model connected, you'll see the full loop from the layer field to Revit. So to complete this session for certification, I'll ask that you do 3 tasks with an optional 4th pushing to Revit. Task 1, create automation with a trigger. Use when element in categories updated on the products category, which I have open now. Add a field filter on status so it fires on status change when it changes specifically, not on every edit to every element. Task 2, add a calculate a value action. Use concatenate to combine at least 2 text fields from products. Name, model number, description, or dimensions are all good choices. Write the result to the notes field. Task 3, we want you to fire it and verify that it fired appropriately. Go to a product element with a blank notes field. Change status to approved, confirm notes populated then. And then the optional task 4 is to add an update Revit parameter action. Add a second action to the same automation. This will be a manual push automation from the model furniture category as a relation is tied to a specific product. So if we go to shared 3 here and we go to Revit data, we can see that all of these Revit models in Revit are linked to this CH3 by the CH3 item tag, which means that if we set up an automation from furniture here, we can pull through the relationship from those products and push the parameters that we want back to this actual Revit family instance. Okay, to get started with task 1, notice that I'm in all products category. I need to create a couple of filtered views. For starters, I want to take a look at all of the elements in this category where the status is empty. Add filter, status is empty. Based on this, I'm going to save a new view. View settings, change this to products, empty status, so that I can keep track of any products that do not yet have a status and assign them to others or myself to fill a status once all of the details in the fields are filled. I also want to create a view for where status is proposed. This will serve as the basis for the automation triggers that we're going to set up. View settings, products, where status is proposed. Save changes. Let's go take a look at setting up the triggers. All right, let's go up to automations, create an automation. Let's call this product status proposed. Notify. Choose a trigger when an element in a category matches a filter. Where products add a filter, product status is proposed. Now this matches the filter that we added to the product's proposed status view. This is in essence the trigger version of this. So when any product status is updated to proposed, this will trigger whatever automation action we set up here. Perhaps we want to send an email to someone, send a notification, update an element. We could update an element using the trigger, adding a field update to the triggered element. We could have this clear a field value. We could have this clear the responsibility. We could have it clear a field value notes to make sure that the notes are clear and ready to be added to officially once proposed. Create automation. Now go back and take a look at this. Go to your product's proposed status or whatever view you set up for your particular category in your project. In my case, I have modified the properties so that we can see the fields, responsibility, and notes that I included to clear whenever elements are pushed to this category based on status, since these are both proposed. I'm going to clear these and they will immediately get filtered out of my view because this view shows only elements where status are proposed. I go to products empty status and let's take a look at the notes for these. I'll push the notes forward so we can take a look all at once, along with the status, along with adding the responsibility, which will be clear. Go to save changes to this view. I'll take a look at what the automation does. Let's do this for LO1 and LO2, which are both missing item tags. That's all right. We can add those later based on what's in our model and what we want to match to. But let's see what happens when we change this status to proposed. and this status to proposed. Let's see what happens to the notes on them. Go view to the proposed status. We now see that the responsibility and the notes for these elements have been cleared because that's exactly what we set up in our automations. Clear notes, clear responsibility. To triple check this, we can go to our activity, and it shows that the automation bots have run and edited notes on LO1, responsibility LO1, notes LO2, responsibility LO2. If anything ever happens that you want to reverse by mistake, you must be careful based on automations, because if you don't understand what they're clearing, you might lose information. You can come back here and click restore to undo any automation that has run in your all activities log. Now that we've set that up, we've cleared responsibility and notes for every new element here. Let's go just create a manual automation that calculates value with formulas and concatenates from existing fields to infill notes descriptions now that those are empty. To automations, create new automation. Let's say description from existing fields, manual, create automation. Choose a trigger. Let's say when triggered manually in this case. So let's select the category. We want it to run within the product's category environment, of course. Let's update an element, calculate a value, field to update. We're going to update the description, and let's go ahead and create the formula. Open the formula editor here. Let's use the concatenate node because we're going to want to concatenate multiple inputs to fill the description output. Let's connect this because we know whatever goes into concatenate, we want to end up in the description of said preview element. Depending on your project, you might want to update the notes with any array of things to remind the user perhaps what they need to update in the description, what they need to update based on a product supplier, you name it. In this case, I report the model number, name of the finishes applied with the space delimiter through array join to feed a string where I want to report the manufacturer's name, and I want to perhaps report the manufacturer's address. And we can see it reports the address, array join to flatten to string. And now we can see the output will be this model number, finishes, manufacturer, and name and address. Save. So now when we go back to manually trigger this automation within this category, it will update whatever element we have selected using the trigger element to calculate a value, updating the field description that was cleared with our previous automation. You can set this up to do anything, update any sort of field, but in this case, just to show trigger in action, we want to update the notes field with these items. Automation, description from existing fields manual. We'll go back to our products. Let's go to products, proposed status. Let's just update both of them. Run a manual trigger, description from existing fields. I made a mistake. Go back to this manual. We need to update this. This needs to actually update the notes field. My mistake. Save changes, back to products, proposed status. Select both of these again, run these. And it has populated the notes in real time with the formula output that we had just built. The last 5 minutes was just task 2 and task 3, fire it and verify it, as well as add a calculate a value action, in this case with a manual trigger. Task 4, bonus task if you're feeling spicy. Add an update Revit parameter action and add a second action to the same automation to push any parameter of your choice to your furniture model category. In order to do this, we need to go to the layer models furniture category, and we need to create a relationship linking this to the products from the furniture category side. So in order to do this, select an element from your table, create a new field. Let's go down to relationship. Let's do an automatic relationship. Let's call this product Revit matching, match to products, where the item tag is mark, because the furniture has a mark parameter in this particular Revit model. In some instances, you might be using another parameter such as type mark. Create field, and if a model placed in your Revit model has a matching product based on that criteria, you will get this connection back. So the M Chair Brewer has a matching mark to CH9 up in the products category. Up in here, go to CH9. This is the one that we're looking at. So we have established the relationship. I'll go back to all furniture, M Chair Brewer, CH9. And in this case, we want to set up a manual automations from this model category furniture, leveraging this relationship back to the products. The things that are exposed now to us to be able to push back to this Revit object, M Chair Brewer. The parameters is anything exposed to the relationship in these fields that exist in the products. So for instance, you might have a Revit parameter description that is text-based on the Revit side, or perhaps you have a unit cost parameter on this object in Revit. You can see that the recorded unit cost on the layers product side for CH9 is unit cost. So your task then in this instance is to create an automation. We'll go to automation, create new automation. This is going to have to be a manual automation triggered manually from the furniture category. So let's make this a update Revit param. Can be whatever parameter you like. We'll do when triggered manually because that's the only acceptable trigger to push to Revit. We will go from the furniture category, which is this one down here. Choose an action, update rep parameter. There's no existing unit cost for this one, but we can update any of these as these are the existing current parameters on the Revit side. Your project might have different ones. Perhaps we want to update the manufacturer, or we want to set from trigger elements, in this case, notes. Yours setup might look a little bit different. Create automation, now that exists. Whatever makes sense to you on your side in your project. Go to all furniture, let's find the chair brewer and select this. You can filter for where marked is CH9 and you will get only the ones you want to update in this view. You can select all for this particular family model and run manual trigger, update Revit param. Now, whatever parameter values you decided to pull as fields from product and push to Revit, selecting this will overwrite those. So in our case, it was description. But actually, after thinking about it more, perhaps description doesn't make sense to update the Revit parameter manufacturer with. So I'm going to create a field in all furniture, go to product Revit matching through this relationship. I'm going to go to manufacturer and I'm going to select the element name. Manufacturer, this should pull through those two relationships, the manufacturer name to update Revit with. Going to go here, going to add manufacturer and look at that. It pulls the manufacturer through the two relationship fields and updates us with the manufacturer information that we can now push manually over to the Revit parameters for this Revit family. Before doing this, select model, go to details, param sync, and there are no pending parameter changes for this model. So in that case, back to my automations real quick, update Revit parameter, and I'm going to change this over to the manufacturer field that we drew the relationships through. Save my changes, go back to the furniture view. Sure my filter mark is CH9. So for all chairs that are the CH9 spec'd in our products category, we want to push this update Revit param. That'll queue for 61 elements in this filtered view. Go double check the models again, details, param sync, and this param sync will update. And this will preview the element on the Revit side and the parameter that is pending update of incoming value OFS. Go open up your Revit model to accept those changes. Hold open my Revit project connected to the cloud. I'll go up here and click receive data and look at this. The 61 changes for element category, all filtered to just the M chair. I'm going to accept those changes, go back to our furniture schedule and our M chair brewer, and every instance of it placed in our Revit model carries with it the parameter manufacturer of OFS. And that does it for the apply it automations. I know this was a bit of a long one. Thanks for hanging in there. Please copy and paste your project URL and submit it in the comments below. I will also include a field for submitting your final Revit file if you decided to get spicy and push Revit parameters from Layer to Revit via manual automation.